Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Lily.
And I'm Ben. We're excited to chat with you today about something everyone can relate to, balancing work and life.
That's right. These days, it seems like everyone is trying to juggle a million things at once.
Exactly. Between work, family, hobbies, and social life, it can feel overwhelming. How do you usually try to balance it all, Lily?
I found that setting boundaries really helps. For example, I try not to check work emails after 7 p.m. It helps me unwind.
That's a great idea. Unplugging is so important. I think I need to start doing that too because I often find myself working late into the night.
Oh, it's so easy to let work take over, isn't it? Another thing I do is prioritize my to-do list. I focus on the top 3 tasks each day.
Prioritizing, that's key. I've started using a planner to organize my week. It feels great to cross things off.
Yes, ticking off tasks is so satisfying. But sometimes, even with a plan, things pop up. How do you handle unexpected distractions?
I try to stay flexible. If something urgent comes up, I'll shift my schedule around. But honestly, it can be a bit chaotic.
Flexibility is key, but it's definitely tricky to keep things in balance. What about self-care? How do you make time for that?
Good question. I usually go for a walk every morning. It's a small thing, but it clears my mind and sets a positive tone for the day.
That's a great routine. I do yoga a few times a week. It helps me recharge and keeps me centered. But I admit, I sometimes skip it if I'm swamped.
I totally get that. When deadlines are looming, self-care often takes a back seat. I'm working on being more consistent, though.
Consistency is hard, but worth it. Speaking of, do you take breaks during the day? I read that short breaks actually boost productivity.
I try to. I usually take a quick coffee break around mid-morning and a short walk in the afternoon. It helps me recharge.
Those little breaks make a difference. Sometimes I just stand up and stretch to avoid getting too stiff from sitting all day.
Oh, I know what you mean. Sitting too long makes me feel sluggish. Staying active really helps with that.
Agreed. It's all about balance, right? Do you have any specific tips for keeping work and personal life in harmony?
One thing I try to do is set no work hours, especially during weekends. I try to disconnect and spend time with family and friends.
That's a fantastic habit. I do the same on Sundays. I completely disconnect from work and focus on things I enjoy.
It's refreshing. I think everyone needs some downtime to recharge. Otherwise, you risk burning out.
Absolutely. Burnout is a real risk when you're constantly on the go. That's why balance is essential.
Definitely. And remember, balance doesn't mean you have to be perfect every day. Some days are more balanced than others, and that's okay.
Yes, being kind to yourself is part of finding balance. Perfection isn't realistic.
So true. Do you have any hobbies or activities that help you unwind after a busy day?
Yes, I love reading and cooking. It feels great to disconnect and do something creative. What about you?
I'm a big fan of painting. It's relaxing and it helps me express myself. Plus, it's a break from screens.
That sounds wonderful. Creative hobbies can be so fulfilling. It's great to have an outlet that's just for fun.
Exactly. Sometimes we forget that rest and hobbies are just as important as work. They help us recharge.
Let's recap some of the new vocabulary and phrases we discussed.
Great idea. First, we used juggle, which means to manage multiple tasks at the same time.
Yes, then we had unwind, which means to relax after a busy day or activity.
We also mentioned boundaries, which are limits you set to protect your personal time or well-being.
Another good one is burnout, which means feeling completely exhausted from overworking.
And a recharge, which means to rest and gain energy again, like when you take breaks or do something enjoyable.
Lastly, we had take a back seat. An idiom that means something becomes less important or less of a priority. Now it's your turn. Try answering these questions using the new vocabulary.
Question 1. How do you unwind after a busy day?
Question 2. Do you have any tips for setting boundaries between work and personal life?
Question 3. How do you recharge when you feel overwhelmed?
Thanks for joining us. Keep practicing these phrases and remember to balance work with play.
Yes, take care and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.